The night Linda landed in Como City, the air felt heavier than she remembered. Not because of the heat, not because of the noise that wrapped around the airport like restless spirits. It was the strange excitement in her chest, the kind that made her fingers shake as she turned on her phone and saw 10 missed calls from her husband, Raymond. He had no idea she was back. For 3 years she had lived abroad, working double shifts as a nurse, saving every pound, every coin, dreaming of this very moment. She had told him she needed 1 more year. She had lied. She wanted to see his face when he opened the door and found her standing there. She imagined he would lift her off the ground. She imagined tears. She imagined him whispering, "You finally came home." Instead, what she found waiting for her inside that house would smash her imagination into pieces. The driver she hired from the airport kept looking at her through the rearview mirror. "Madam, are you sure you don't want me to call him before we reach?" he asked carefully and like someone who knew them from before she traveled. She smiled. "No, it's a surprise." She watched the familiar streets of Como City move past. The streetlights, the kiosks, the smell of roasted corn mixing with exhaust fumes. She had missed this city. She touched the small gold bracelet on her wrist, the one Raymond gave her the day she left Como City. He had stood at the departure gates, holding her face like it was fragile glass. A great chance had opened up for her abroad that would change their lives for the better. "Go and build our future," he had said. "I will hold things down here." She believed him. The gate to their compound came into view. The cream-colored duplex she had paid for with her sleepless nights abroad stood tall and proud. But something felt different. The security light near the balcony was new. The curtains were not the ones she chose. The front garden had pink flowers instead of the white lilies she loved. Her heart skipped. Maybe he renovated to surprise her too. The driver honked. A young security guard she had never seen before opened the gate. "Yes," he asked. "I live here," she said, stepping out with her suitcase. "Call Raymond." The guard hesitated, looking her over from head to toe like she was a stranger. "Madam, Oga no day," he said. She froze. "What do you mean he's not home? Or he traveled outside Como City since yesterday?" Her excitement dropped a little, but she forced a laugh. "It's fine. Have keys." She rolled her suitcase toward the door, her steps steady but alert. She put the key in. The lock did not turn. She tried again. Nothing. Her stomach tightened. She knocked. Footsteps came from inside. A woman's footsteps. Linda frowned. The door opened slowly. And there she stood. Zanab, her best friend since university. Zanab in Linda's blue and red striped ochre gown. Zanab barefoot, hair wrapped in Linda's favorite blue ochre scarf. Zanab staring at her like she had seen a ghost. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Linda's voice finally came out in a whisper. "What are you doing in my house?" Zanab blinked fast. "Linda." The living room behind her had changed. The gray couches were gone. The family portrait on the wall had been replaced with abstract art. There were men's shoes by the staircase, not arranged the way Linda used to arrange them. "This is not what it looks like," Zanab said quickly. Linda let out a hollow laugh. "Then what does it look like?" Zanab stepped outside, pulling the door halfway behind her. "Please lower your voice." "Lower my voice," Linda repeated, her accent getting thicker with emotion. "You are in my house wearing my clothes, and you want me to lower my voice." The security guard was pretending not to listen. "Let's talk inside," Zanab said softly. Linda did not move. "Where is my husband?" Zanab swallowed. "He is not here." "That is not what I asked." The silence between them felt violent. "Zanab," Linda said slowly, "tell me why you have the keys to my house." Zanab looked away. And in that tiny move, everything cracked. Linda pushed past her and walked into the living room. The smell hit her first. A perfume she did not own. On the center table were 2 wine glasses. One still had lipstick on the rim. Her suitcase slipped from her hand. She walked toward the staircase in a daze. "Linda, please." Zanab whispered, following her. The master bedroom door was slightly open. Linda pushed it. The bedsheets were not the ones she bought. The walls were painted beige instead of white. On the dresser sat framed photos, not of her, of Raymond and Zanab. At a beach, smiling close. Too close. Her breathing became uneven. 3 years. 3 years of sending money to him for investments. 3 years of sending money for his upkeep and for buying the rented apartment that was up for sale. 3 years of calling every night. 3 years of believing she was building a marriage. Behind her, Zanab began to cry. Started small. He was lonely. I was just helping. Linda turned slowly. Helping? You were helping by sleeping in my bed. Zanab shook her head wildly. It's not like that. Then how is it? Zanab covered her face. He told me you were not coming back. Linda stared at her. What? He said, you found someone abroad. The words felt unreal. Linda laughed, but it came out broken. Are you crazy? I was working 12-hour shifts. Zanab's tears poured now. He said you stopped loving him, that you were sending money out of pity. Linda's mind raced through every late-night video call, every I miss you, every prayer they said together. Had he been lying even then? Her phone buzzed in her hand. Raymond calling. Both women stared at the screen. Linda answered. Hello, she said calmly, even though her world was spinning. Linda. His voice sounded tense. Where are you? She looked around the bedroom. I am home. Silence. Then you should have told me you were coming. I wanted to surprise you. Another pause. Listen, he said carefully. We need to talk. She almost smiled. Yes, she said softly. We do. Downstairs, thunder rumbled in the city sky. And as rain began to hit the windows of the house she paid for, Linda realized she was standing in a place that no longer belonged to her. But she was not leaving. Not yet. Because something deeper than betrayal was happening, and she needed to know how the fight would go. When the call ended, Zanab whispered. He's on his way back. Linda walked to the mirror and stared at herself. She looked like a visitor in her own life. But by the time Raymond returned to that house, he would understand one thing. She was not the weak woman he thought he had replaced. And the truth hiding under this betrayal was bigger than both of them. Outside, the rain got heavier. Inside, war was coming. And this was only the beginning. The rain did not stop. It hit the windows like it was trying to force its way inside, like it also wanted to watch what would happen next. Linda did not move from the bedroom. Zanab sat at the edge of the bed, twisting her fingers together, her tears drying into quiet sniffles. The silk robe suddenly looked silly on her, like stolen royalty. Downstairs, thunder rolled again. Linda's mind refused to slow down. Every memory from the last 3 years rose like ghosts demanding answers. The night Raymond called her crying because the business was failing. The afternoon he said he needed more money to finish renovations. The countless transfers she made, telling herself, this is marriage. This is sacrifice. She remembered the day Zanab visited her abroad. Zanab had hugged her tightly at the airport. You are strong, she had said. Not every woman can do this. They had eaten jollof rice in her tiny apartment. They had prayed together before Zanab flew back to Como City. Linda felt something cold crawl up her spine. How long? She asked quietly. Zanab's head snapped up. What? How long have you been living here? Zanab hesitated. That hesitation told the truth before her mouth did. 2 years, she whispered. 2 years. Linda blinked slowly. So 1 year after I left, you moved into my house. It wasn't like that, Zanab brushed. He said the house was too big for him alone. He said armed robbers had targeted the area. He said he needed someone to stay. Linda nodded faintly. So you suddenly became the chief security officer, and the master bedroom. Zanab began crying again. It happened gradually, as if betrayal was a staircase you climbed by mistake. Headlights flashed through the rain outside. Both women froze. Raymond had arrived. Linda straightened her shoulders. "Wipe your face," she told Zanab. Moments later, the front door opened. His footsteps were heavy, low. He climbed the stairs without calling her name. When he entered the bedroom, he stopped. For a second, something like guilt flashed across his face. Then it hardened into something else. Cold planning. "Linda," he said carefully. "Raymond," she replied. Zanab stood up quickly. "I'll go downstairs." "No," Linda said. "Stay." Zanab looked at Raymond. He gave a small nod. He stayed. Linda studied her husband. He looked well-fed, his beard neatly trimmed. His wrist had a new expensive watch she did not recognize. He did not look like a lonely man struggling. He looked comfortable. "You changed the locks," she said calmly. "Yes." "Why?" He breathed in slowly. "Because things changed." "Explain." He ran a hand through his hair. "Linda, we can't do this in anger." She almost smiled. "I am not angry. I am listening." He glanced at Zanab. Then he faced his wife. "You left." The simple words shocked her. "I left to work. You left me alone for 3 years. I left to build this house. You abandoned the marriage." The accusation hung in the air. Linda's voice got lower. "Did I stop calling? Did I stop sending money? Did I stop praying for you?" He did not answer right away. "You changed," he said instead. "How?" "You became distant. Everything was about shifts, hospital overtime. You sounded tired every time." She laughed softly. "I was tired." He stepped closer. "Marriage is not built on money alone. Marriage is not built on sleeping with your wife's best friend either," she replied. Zanab flinched. Raymond became angry. "Watch your words." Linda stared at him in disbelief. "Watch my words." The nerve almost impressed her. "You think this is only about betrayal. It is bigger than that. Then make it clear." He looked at Zanab again, then back at Linda. "You were not planning to come back." Her breath caught. "Yes," she admitted. "For us. You never told me. I wanted to surprise you when everything was ready." He shook his head. "You were building a life there. I was building options for myself, for us." The room seemed to shrink. Zanab suddenly spoke. "He thought you were ashamed of him." Linda turned sharply. "What?" "He said you didn't want him abroad because he didn't have the qualifications." Linda looked at Raymond, stunned. "That is what you believed." He did not deny it. She felt something shift inside her. "You could have asked me. You could have communicated." He shot back. "You could have communicated better." She breathed out slowly. "So instead, you moved my friend into my house." Raymond's voice dropped. "I did not plan to fall in love with her." The words hit like a slap. Zanab gasped softly. Linda felt her body go very still. "Love," she repeated. "Yes." The rain outside softened, but the storm inside the room grew stronger. "You love her." He nodded once. "And she loves you." Zanab could barely speak. I care about him." Linda felt laughter rise in her throat again, but she swallowed it. "So the two of you decided to build a new marriage in my house with my money." Raymond's eyes darkened. "It is not your house." The words dropped like a bomb. Linda blinked. "Excuse me. It is in my name." The silence that followed felt endless. She tried to understand what he had said. "No," she whispered. "We agreed it would be in both our names. You were not in the country. It was easier." Her heart began to pound. "You forged documents." "I did what was practical." Her hands trembled a little, but she clasped them together. "So all the transfers I made," Linda asked, "were gifts to your husband," he said coolly. The betrayal changed shape. This was not just about cheating. It was money, law, cold planning. Linda's mind raced through the papers she signed before leaving Como City. She trusted him completely. She did not double-check. You planned this, she said quietly. He shook his head. I adapted. She stepped closer to him. Do you know what I did to earn that money? He looked away. I cleaned every mess in the wards where I worked. I worked night shifts while pregnant women screamed in labor. I missed Christmas. I missed funerals. I missed my father's burial. Her voice shook for the first time. And you adapted. Zanab began sobbing again. Raymond's face wavered for a moment, but pride held him firm. You can't come back after 3 years and expect everything to stay the same, he said. Linda nodded slowly. You're right. He looked surprised. She walked to the dresser and picked up one of the beach photos. She studied it closely. You look happy, she said. Neither of them answered. She set the frame down carefully. Tell me something, she continued. If I had not returned tonight, when were you planning to tell me? Raymond hesitated. Zanab whispered. He was going to file for divorce. The room tilted. Next month, Zanab added weakly. Linda's vision blurred for a second, but she steadied herself. Divorce, she repeated. Yes, Raymond said, sounding firm again. It's better than living a lie. Linda stared at him for a long time. Then she did something unexpected. She smiled. Not because she was happy, but because she finally understood everything. You think I came back unprepared, she said softly. He frowned. What do you mean? She walked past them to her suitcase downstairs. They followed. From a hidden pocket inside, she pulled out a brown envelope. I did not just come to surprise you, she said calmly. She placed the envelope on the dining table. And what is that? Raymond asked. She met his eyes steadily. Proof. He opened it. Inside were printed bank statements, property agreements, and a document with an official stamp from a foreign country abroad. Raymond's face slowly lost color. Zanab leaned closer. What is it? She asked nervously. Linda's voice stayed steady. Before I left Como City, I registered an international joint asset protection agreement. Any property bought with my foreign earnings is legally co-owned under marital protection law. Raymond stared at the documents. You can't apply foreign law here, he said quickly. I don't need to. She tapped another page. Because the transfers were recorded as foreign investment contributions. If you fight it, it becomes an international financial fraud investigation. Zanab's mouth fell open. Raymond's breathing changed. You are bluffing. Linda tilted her head slightly. Call your lawyer. The rain had stopped completely now, but inside that dining room, something far more dangerous had started. Raymond looked at his wife like a stranger he was seeing for the first time. Not as the woman who left, not as the woman who sent money, but as someone he had badly underestimated. And the night was far from over. Because what Linda had not yet shared was the one thing that would shake both of them beyond repair. She looked at Zanab, then at her husband and said quietly, There is something else you both need to know. Their faces tightened. What? Raymond demanded. Linda took a slow breath. The reason I really came back early, she paused, is because someone has been watching this house. Silence swallowed the room, and neither of them was ready for what that truly meant. The silence after her words felt alive. Raymond stared at her, his fingers still gripping the edge of the dining table. Zanab's breathing grew shallow, like someone standing too close to a fire. What do you mean someone has been watching this house? Raymond asked. Linda did not answer right away. She walked to the window and pulled the curtain slightly aside. The compound lights reflected off the wet ground outside. For the past 8 months, she said quietly, I have been receiving anonymous emails. Raymond's eyes narrowed. Emails about what? About me. Zanab shifted uneasily. At first, I ignored them. I thought it was jealousy. People talk, especially when a woman travels abroad and starts sending money home. She turned back to face them. But the messages were detailed. Dates, photos, transactions. Raymond's face stiffened. What photos? Linda reached into her handbag and pulled out her phone. She opened a folder and placed it on the table. Zainab gasped. It was a photo of Raymond at a restaurant in Como City Island. His hand rested on her lower back. The date stamp showed a time when he had told Linda he was traveling for business outside Como City. Another swipe. A video clip of both of them entering the compound late at night. Another swipe. Bank alert screenshots. Big withdrawals. Transfers to an account under Zainab's name. Raymond looked shocked. Where did you get these? Linda's voice stayed calm. Does it matter? It does. She studied him carefully. You want to know who exposed you? Yes. She looked at Zainab. I think you deserve to know too. Zainab's lips trembled. Please just say it. Linda breathed in slowly. It was your fiancé. The room burst into confusion. My what? Zainab whispered. Your fiancé. Linda repeated. You don't have a fiancé, Raymond snapped. Zainab stumbled back, grabbing the chair to steady herself. I was engaged before. Linda nodded slowly. His name is Chick. At the sound of the name, Zainab's face went pale. He contacted me through social media. At first I thought it was a scam, but he knew details about you, about Raymond, about this house. Raymond looked between them. What is she talking about? Zainab covered her mouth with her hand. Linda continued. Chick told me you broke off the engagement suddenly. No explanation. You blocked him everywhere. Tears streamed down Zainab's face again. He followed you one evening, saw you here, investigated more, and when he realized whose house it was, he reached out to me. Raymond stepped back like he had been hit. You were engaged? He asked Zainab quietly. Zainab could barely speak. It was before things got serious with you. Linda shook her head slightly. No, it overlapped. Zainab let out a broken sob. You told him you needed time to focus on your career. Meanwhile, you had already moved into my home. The weight of the truth crushed the room. Raymond ran his hands over his face. So this chick has been spying on us, he muttered. He was gathering evidence, Linda corrected. He said he wanted me to know the truth before I wasted more years of my life. Raymond looked furious. That man has no right. No, Linda replied calmly. You had no right. Silence again, but this time it felt different. Not explosive, heavy and serious. Zainab sank into a chair. I didn't plan for any of this, she whispered. When you left, Linda, I was lonely too. You were my only real friend. Then Raymond started calling me for small things. Fixing things in the house, helping with documents. Her voice shook. He said you barely spoke to him anymore, that you were changing. Linda listened without stopping her. I felt important, needed. He would compare me to you. Say I understood him better. Raymond flinched a little. Zainab looked at him with anger and heartbreak mixed together. You told me she was done with you. Raymond did not deny it. Linda felt something inside her settle into clear truth. You both built this relationship on lies, and now you're surprised it's falling apart. Raymond looked at her sharply. Don't pretend you are innocent in everything. She met his gaze steadily. Tell me my crime. You left your marriage open. She nodded slowly. I left to secure our future. I trusted you to protect our present. He had no answer. The house felt smaller now, like it was shrinking under the weight of truth. Linda picked up the property documents again. I have already spoken to a lawyer in the city before I landed. Raymond's head snapped up. You what? I wanted to confirm my position, and I have enough recorded financial contribution to claim legal interest. At the very least, the property cannot be sold or transferred without my consent. His shoulders dropped a little. She continued. As for divorce, her voice softened but not with weakness. I will file. Zainab began crying again. Raymond looked stunned. You are ending it just like that. Just like that, she repeated gently. You ended it 2 years ago. The words cut deeper than shouting ever could. He opened his mouth to argue, then closed it. Linda looked around the house slowly. "I did not come back to fight for a man who has already chosen," she said. "And I will not beg for space in a home I built." She walked toward the staircase. "Where are you going?" Raymond asked. "To sleep," she replied. "In this house?" he asked. She turned halfway. "Yes, in this house." He stared at her, unsure whether to protest, but something in her face stopped him. Not anger, not panic, authority. Later that night, as the house fell into an uneasy quiet, Linda lay on the guest room bed. She did not cry. She did not scream into the pillow. She stared at the ceiling and let herself feel everything fully. The betrayal, the humiliation, the foolish trust, but also something else. Relief. The fog was gone. The doubt was gone. The wondering if she was overthinking was gone. Truth had a strange way of clearing the air. Downstairs, voices murmured. Raymond and Zainab arguing softly. She could not hear the words clearly, but the tension was obvious. The bond that once felt exciting now felt weak, because relationships born in secrets often struggle when they are exposed. By morning, everything had shifted again. Linda woke early and stepped onto the balcony. The air smelled fresh after the rain. The city was already awake. Horns, vendors, movement. Life continued, not caring about personal pain. Behind her, footsteps came closer. She did not turn right away. It was Raymond. He looked worn out. "Zainab left," he said quietly. She turned slowly. "Where?" "She packed at dawn." Linda nodded once. "And you?" she asked. He hesitated. "I made mistakes." "Yes. I thought you were drifting away. And instead of reaching for me, you replaced me." He lowered his gaze. "I was insecure," he admitted. "That is not an excuse," she replied. "I know." They stood in silence for a while. Finally he said, "Is there any chance?" She stopped him gently with a raised hand. "Do not ask for something you did not protect." His eyes shone, but she did not let herself soften. Because forgiveness and getting back together are not always the same. "I will stay in Como City for now," she continued. "We will handle the legal process properly." He nodded weakly. "And Raymond, do not ever mistake a woman's sacrifice for weakness again." The words sank deep. Weeks later, the divorce papers were filed. The house was valued, and the assets were divided. It was not easy. There were arguments, accusations, family pressure. But Linda stayed steady. She refused to let bitterness swallow her. Instead, she did something unexpected. She started over, not abroad this time, in Como City. She opened a small private healthcare consultancy using her international experience. It grew slowly, then strongly. People respected her strength. Some talked about the scandal. But gossip becomes quiet when success becomes louder. Months later, she received one final email from Chick. A simple message. "I hope you are healing." She did not reply. Not because she was ungrateful, but because she no longer needed saving. One evening, as she locked up her new office, she paused. The sky was painted orange and purple. She thought about the night she returned, suitcase in hand, expecting love and finding betrayal. If she could speak to that version of herself, she would not tell her to turn back. She would tell her to walk in anyway. Because sometimes the shock you fear is the doorway to the freedom you need. The house in Como City was eventually sold. Her share was invested wisely. Raymond moved to a smaller apartment. Zainab disappeared from her life completely. And Linda learned something priceless. Distance does not destroy love. Dishonesty does. Sacrifice does not secure loyalty. Character does. And the most painful homecoming can become the beginning of a stronger, wiser life. As Como City traffic roared in the distance and the city lights flickered awake, Linda stepped forward into her future. Alone but no longer fooled. And that made all the difference. This story is from African Folktales by Nia. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button, like, share, and leave a comment, as we have some more videos on the way which we think you're really going to enjoy. Thanks for watching. See you in our next